Hello, welcome back to History with Nash. Today we're looking at the history of Navy and naval ships. First up, we have the 7th century BC Greek trimane. It was equipped with a bronze ram for puncturing enemy vessels below the waterline. It was one of the most effective ships of its time. Next up, we have the CSS Virginia. It was It was one of, if not the first ironclads. You can see it has a ram on the front. It was impenetrable by projectiles at the time, and it was, and because of that, it could sink entire fleets almost undamaged, almost completely undamaged. It ripped apart the Union blockade ships at Norfolk, sinking 5 and causing one to run aground. Next up, we have a Union counterpart to the Confederate Virginia in USS Monitor, 1862. Wasn't very seaworthy, nearly sunk on its way to Norfolk, and after it defeated the Virginia, blowing off its ram, it sank the very next day. Next up, we have the HMS Dreadnought. Dreadnought was the first effective seaworthy battleship of its period, and many other dreadnoughts, or this dreadnought and many others like it, took part in battles like Jutland in 1916. Interesting piece of trivia: battleships are obsolete today. They've been replaced by missile-equipped carriers and missile-equipped cruisers and destroyers, though mainly by carriers. Next up, we have USS Oklahoma. It was one of the ships sunk by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. They say you can still hear 3 sailors bang on the hull with a wrench. All these years after they died, trapped in one of the pump rooms during the attack. So we have the USS Arizona, the most famous of the ships to be sunk. Pearl Harbor took a bomb to the magazine and exploded, killing hundreds instantly. Though I exaggerated when I said that, killing everyone on board. There were some survivors. You can see at the Arizona Memorial, Pearl Harbor, of course, people report sightings of a ghost of a lookout that was stationed on the ship. So look for a face in the wreckage next time you're there. Next up, we have the German U-boat. The German U-boat was one of the most famous seagoing weapons, most famous weapons of both world wars. It sank the Lusitania, which brought us into the Great War, and it had both front and rear torpedo tubes, a net cutter for cutting torpedo nets that were hung from ships to stop torpedoes, built a cannon on the deck for finishing damaged ships, and a flak gun. It's the Aichi Kaga. The Kaga was one Japanese carrier sunk at Midway, was the last one to be sunk, chased through a full day before succumbing to American attack. Next up, we have the Bismarck. Bismarck was the biggest ship of World War II. It was a massively powerful ship able to sink the HMS Hood with pretty much single-handedly with little to no help from the Prince Eugen. Though it was sunk after a torpedo jammed its rudder. It sank the Hood with a shell to the magazine. Shell to the aft magazine. Next up, we have the 800-foot-long Trippiz, a warship that, I'll be honest, I don't know much about. It was a It was sunk by British bombers in 1922. The HMS Yamato of 1937 was one of, if not the most famous ship that came out of the Second World War. It was it took bombs during one of the battles in the Philippines. Or maybe Guadalcanal, but I'm pretty sure it was the Philippines. It was flying sunk 44 by American bombers. Carried the biggest guns of any ship to date. Next up, we have the Musashi, which was a ship to the Yamato and sunk during the same battle that saw the Yamato take a bomb to the stern. Next up, we have the Enterprise. Yamato, yeah, it was sunk. It says ship to Yamato was sunk during the battle in which I mentioned before that the Yamato took a hit to the rear magazine, or to the stern. It missed him at any magazines. Luckily for the Japanese on board, it missed any magazines, unfortunately. So, yeah, it wasn't sunk till 44. Next up, we have the USS Enterprise of World War II. Of the World War II Enterprise. Though there have been a few carriers named Enterprise. This Enterprise took part in the Battle of Midway and was the one American carrier sunk during that battle. Next up, we have the utterly embarrassing USS William D. Porter, 1942. William D. Porter, 1942. It was one of the most embarrassing ships in history. It accidentally fired a torpedo during a drill. During a drill, it accidentally fired a live torpedo at a U.S. battleship carrying President Roosevelt in 43. And then fired a shell into the front yard of an Alaskan into the yard of a naval base commander in Alaska. It was finally sunk by a kamikaze plane that they had just shot down at Okinawa. It was traveling at such speed and angle that it kept going underwater, slammed to the porter underwater, sinking it. Dangers, dangers naval vessels faced in World War II. And these are just some of them. Obviously, there were more, but these are two I can think of. A kamikaze aircraft and German U-boats. Next up, we have the easily recognizable modern Nimitz-class aircraft carrier. It is currently the apex of naval technology, just like the battleship was back in the World Wars. It has been dubbed as a floating city, or, famously, 100,000 tons of diplomacy. It can carry millions and probably thousands. I don't think it might. Millions might be an exaggeration, right? But I'm not sure. And it definitely carry hundreds of aircraft. And its defensive measures are missiles and the phalanx close-in systems, which the phalanx close-in defense systems were basically auto-targeting miniguns. Next up, we have a Trident-class submarine, 1973. Trident-class submarine is the U.S. nuclear submarine capable of launching submarine-launched intercontinental ballistic missiles, or SLICBMs, as well as conventional cruise missiles. As you can see here, it can launch them well underwater. And it is one of America's most powerful military assets. Next up, we have USS Independence. This is one of, if not the newest ship in U.S. arsenal. If, like me, you're a Pixar fan, then you'll immediately recognize this ship from the second Cars movie, though it's not quite accurate, or though it doesn't look exactly like this. But those ships are indeed Independence-class cruisers. Well, that's it for another episode of History with Nash. Hope you enjoyed. Guys, in the next one.